Thank you. Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and I'm the founder and owner of TechViewsNote. And today we are going to get into another Android tutorial, and this one is the 24th tutorial in the series. Now, as far as this one, we're going to get into APIs and what are they. This is going to be a lot of visual stuff I show on screen, but for the most part, there's this is actually a very important one to keep in mind if you're going to work in Android development or even mobile or software developments, because more and more places are requiring people to know about this, and even more so on mobile side. This is a very crucial thing since well, basically everything that you're going to be dealing with that's any severity is going to require some API knowledge. So if you haven't seen the previous videos, check out them. The card to that will be towards the top. However, if you want to skip ahead, then feel free to do so. A card should be towards the top. Keep in mind, I try to get these videos out once or twice a week, depending on my schedule, and depending if I can even get it out once or twice a week. But anyways, so API. What is an API in a nutshell? In a nutshell, back in the day, it used to be very difficult to actually get information. So if you want to make, say, what we're going to be making as a weather application, you're going to have a lot of stuff back in the day. Well, now it's not the case anymore. Basically, back in the day, you had to have the servers collecting information and all the other stuff. Now, there's services out there, like, for example, this, and there's quite a few others. And you'll find similar things like with Twitter and stuff like that. It's where you got a social platform that's connected through. And what happens is the hard work's already done. So we don't have to collect the weather information, and we don't have to worry about that stuff. We can just use the API to get the information, and we can do whatever we want with the information from there. Now, the thing to note is a term called black box. Black box is generally used in many careers or in many places for something that does things behind the scenes. So in coding, what it is basically you have a input, and the input goes into the black box, and the black box does whatever it needs to do, and the output gives it becomes a desirable result. So for example, with this, let's talk about the black box. Black box in general, I think in the past application we did something with colors in a simple application, and basically the actual colors themselves, the hexadecimals that we use, they are the black box. Of course, we could change them, whatever, but we had to have the method calling for the which color to put out, and then the output is the change in the color. So the edit text or edit colors or whatever it was. Well, with this, what we have is an API key, and we just need to change minor things to it, so longitude, latitude, whatever. And then what we have that do is we send that to the servers, the whatever servers that we're using. In this case, it would be this company. And keep in mind, there's many companies you can use for weather stuff. And as far as the whatever comes back, it's taken care in black box, and the output it says was the current weather. It's simple as that. So instead of the actual application going into a string and try to find the information, it's going online, try to find the information. It sends the correct information to online. So your API key, which is usually associated with a account, and also longitude, latitude, time, whatever. And this is the also information that the place needs, and that way it knows what location is the person at, so therefore they can pull up weather specifically for there. Because if I'm here in North Carolina, I don't care if the weather in New Mexico is -2. The fact of the matter is I'm not there. I care about here. Well, same thing with the other users is we need to know their location, and the server itself needs to know what exactly to send back. So along with the API key, it needs to know what to send back, and that's going into the black box, which sends out to the servers, and then the servers look at it, process the data, and since they already have the information, it will send it back, given that everything's good. And then your black box will process it and said, oh, here is the stuff. And then it will put out the forecast. Now, as far as another example is, you have things like Twitter. So for example, with Twitter, if I'm making a application that it pulls up your Twitter feed or whatever, I might have a API key and some other information I have to hand over to Twitter to get the proper information I need. And what would end up happening is it will be uploaded into the Twitter servers. Twitter servers process it, finds out what I want, make sure that my API key is good, which one of the purposes of API key is with the weather stuff. You're going to find a lot of places they actually charge pretty heavily for some uses. Like you can have 60 uses per week in some cases. In other cases, you can have quite a few more, but eventually it's going to start costing. With things like Twitter and some of the other things, it's a way to filter out bad developers versus good developers and things of this nature. So if something bad happens, there's basically a theoretical paper trail to get back to the person. Well, that's a big thing with API keys, so that's why it's there. But anyways, Twitter processes that stuff, make sure the API key is good and whatever. And then what comes back is the information that's needed, so the feed or whatever the person's looking for. And then it's processed and shown. So it's pretty straightforward on that. Now, one thing you may be wondering is the SDK versus API. SDK is the software development kit. And this is where all the process is required for a software system. And that's something you're going to have to deal with, especially with Android. The API is Application Program Interface, and it's the interface through which an SDK or system is used by our code. So basically, API is the way you do something, and the SDK does all the work. But anyways, as far as that goes, it's been Craig Bennett, founder and owner of TechViews Nope. And if you got any questions or anything, then feel free to leave them down there in the comment section, and I'll try to answer as quickly as possible. And hope you have a great day. And also, please like, subscribe, and share. Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and I'm the founder and owner of TechFuse Nope, and today we are doing another Android tutorial, and in this one we're going to talk about research and libraries. So as far as this goes, I want to get into something real quick. This is a very important video for those who are newcomers into development and coding and whatever. If you're already into coding, you probably could skip this. And I just want to say this before I do the thing I do talking about the last video, next video. But that's very, very important because 90%, and obviously this is not a correct statement, but 90% of what you'll be doing on a coder, a programmer, depending on which one you want to be called, is research. In fact, networking the same way is research, security, so ethical hacking, research. It is a huge part of your job, and you need to know how to research things, especially things on Google, Bing, whatever search engine you use. I don't care. But the fact of the matter is you need to be comfortable with using search engines because you're going to be using them a lot. So with this one in mind, let's do the thing and say, if you haven't seen the previous videos, then check out a card towards the top. And if you want to skip ahead, again, if you are already in coding, you know this stuff that I'm going to talk about. So there's no reason for you to sit through this. But if you hadn't seen this, or if you're new to coding, then I suggest sticking around. Otherwise, go to the card to the top and that should take you to the next video. If that card isn't there, then that video is probably not out. Keep in mind these videos come out once or twice a week, depending on my schedule. So as far as that goes, let's jump into there. So HTTP libraries. The libraries dealing with Android is fine, and stuff that comes from Google tends to be fine. But a lot of things can be painful, and there's a lot of third-party stuff out there. A lot of, in fact, I can name about at least 40 or 50 things just off the top of my head after playing with Android stuff for several years now. I can tell you that there's a ton of libraries, third-party libraries out there, because there's a huge section, a few sections actually, out of Android that is painful to deal with. So HTTP is one of them. Now, without going into all the stuff, one way to figure it out is, if you're not familiar with the whatever you're dealing with, in this case we're dealing with internet, so it's HTTP. If you're not familiar with this, dealing with Android, one of the best places to look is the developer's website for Android. And what you're going to find is there's a lot of things out there that is 2011, 2012, so around that time frame. And that's could be a huge problem because it's old and things can be updated fairly quickly. So that's a big thing to keep in mind. Now, as far as that goes, the best way to search for something like this is know what you want to search for. Just put Android HTTP library and or whatever you want for the library, and there you go. Now, instead of taking the first one that comes up, what you need to do is, first off, look at the dates. On some of these, you're going to see dates. Look at that, and I'll tell you when it's last updated. Some search engines have this. Google has it. Now, with this, say for example, like right here, 2013, that's not good for me, and I need something newer. And that's a big thing to keep in mind. Now, if you're not sure about something, the best way to do it is to do a versus. So let's copy this first one right here, put it in here, do a verse, and if you do a verse, you can see that Retrofits, Volley, and OKHTTP is competitors. So let's check out them. I got this one, OKHTTP, and the biggest thing to keep in mind is where's the information? Is it on GitHub or some other place? If it's on GitHub, it's easier to see, it's easier to find all the stuff, and it's open source. Now, is it safe for you to use? Okay, it's open source, but can you legally use it? What you need to do is go all the way down to a lot of these. It's going to be on different places, but you're looking for the license. And the license will tell you it's okay to use based on yada yada yada. It's okay to use at any time. It's okay to use only for personal use, but not business, so you can't make money on it. It's okay to use whatever for entertainment, but not for educational. That's just a few examples which you might run across. Obviously, the last one's the less of a chance, but still, it should get the idea. And just check out the licenses and go through it. So you're going to need to know a little contract law, not like a huge amount, just a little bit to see. Okay, is it okay for business use? Is there any legal liability on me if I use it for business use? And if it says no, then use it. And that's how you can actually figure out which library to go with. Now, what is the chances of them going after you if you did use a product that, say, is personal use only, business has to pay excess amount? Well, the chances of them going after you, it depends on the company, how successful your stuff is, and if it gets out that you're actually making money based on something that you should have paid for. And you can have them to pay quite dearly for it. I'm not going to get into all the ins and outs with that, but it can get very nasty very quick. The more money you make, the more of a chance they're going to get hit with it. So that's a huge thing to keep in mind. And even if you don't make any money, like you make $1, you can be legally liable for paying them a whole huge amount based on whatever they choose to sue you for, because you have to pay for their lawyers and all the other stupid crap. So that's a big thing to keep in mind, is look at the licenses, do your research, and it could be a grog, but it will save you a lot of money at the end. It'll save you and your company a lot of money at the end. And yeah. But anyways, as far as that goes, we're going to be looking into this a little bit more. But as far as that goes, if you got any questions or anything else, then let me know in the comment section, and I'll try to answer as quickly as possible. Also, please feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and share. And I'll check you out in the next video. I hope you have a great day. Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett, and I'm the founder and owner of TechViews Nope. And today, I am going to get into another Android tutorial video. In this one, we're going to talk about how to add OKHTTP or any library into your Gradle. Now, as far as things goes, this may be different depending on the setup and everything. But for the most part, we're going to look at some basic things that will apply across the board. So if you hadn't seen the previous video, which gets into research, how do we find this in the first place? Well, feel free to check out that. The card to that will be towards the top. But if you know how to do this and you just want to skip ahead, then feel free to do that and click the card at the top. Now, as far as this goes, OKHTTP, pretty sure that you follow me through, hopefully, in getting here. So what we need to do is go to their website. So just click that, go to their website. And what we're looking for is support, and basically what is the minimum requirements. So with here, okay, HTTP supports Android 2.3 and above, and our application we're making is 4.0, so we don't have a problem with that. And we can change that if we need to. And for Java, you need to have 1.7 or above. How do you check the Java? Well, depending on your thing, on if you're using OS X like terminal or whatever, go to that. And what you want to do is figure out the command to pull up the Java version. But for command prompt Windows, it's Java space -- version. And what you're looking for is this 1 point, what is that number? And for me it's 8, so it's higher than 7, so it's good. Basically, this stuff to the right of it, we don't really care one way or another. We're just caring about this 1 point and whatever that number is. If it says 1.6, we need to update Java in order to use this. If it says 1.7, we're good. If we're saying 1 billion, then we're good. Again, it needs to be 1.7 or more. So from here, what we need to do is, now that we declared that our application is good, like we can use this, what we need to do is copy this into the Gradle. So to do this, what we need to do, if I can find it, is go to our application and go to the Gradle. Now what you want to do is go to your build Gradle. So you have 2 of them. One's a module and one's for the app. And what we need to do is go to the module. For the actual app, it looks like this. So in case you're just wondering, feel free to check out all this stuff. It's there for you. But what we're doing is the module, so it will say module next to it. And what we need to do is go down to the dependencies, click enter, copy or paste that in, and click the sync now. So while this syncs up, let me explain a few things that's going on here. So if you need to change your SDK versions, here it is, version code, and we'll get more into this, what you're seeing, in a later video when we're talking about uploading your application to Google Play. But this is pretty important. So if I got an application on Google Play, then the Play Store, then I will need to make that a 2 or anything higher than whatever current is. And this could be whatever. And we'll get more into this. So it's good to know where for now, but for the most part, we're just concerned with this. So dependencies is dependencies on things outside. So right here, we are trying to pull up this in order to compile our code against it. So now, as far as the next video, in fact, so I don't overload anyone, I'm just going to pretty much end it about here. But as far as the next video, and in between now and the next one, in case if you're watching it as these things are coming out, I want you to go down here and look at all this stuff, read it all, and try to get a good feel for it. It's a bit much for someone who's new to coding, but for the most part, we're going to get into a lot of this, and it's good to know. But anyways, as far as that goes, this has been Craig Bennett, founder and owner of TechViews Nope, and in this video, I showed you how to add the library into your Gradle. And if you have any questions or anything else on this video or anything else, then please feel free to leave that down below, and I'll try to get to it as quickly as possible. Leave a like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.